Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Deep Dive. I am so glad you are here with us today.
It is great to be back. It really is.
You know, usually on this show, we're tackling something massive.
Right. We're digging through huge piles of information.
Exactly. We're looking at a 300-page book on economics or, a dense stack of research papers about artificial intelligence or...
Or a long, complicated article about history.
Yeah. We usually have to sift through thousands and thousands of words just to find the gold.
That's true. Usually our job is to simplify the complex, to distill it all down.
But today we are doing something a little bit different.
A little bit. I'd say very different.
Okay, fair enough. Very different. Today we're looking at something short, something simple.
But don't let the size fool you. I think that's the key thing right up front. Just because something is short does not mean it is small.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to put it. We are diving into a script from a podcast called English Through Stories. And specifically, we're analyzing a single story from that script. It's titled The Small Step.
The Small Step. I love that title. It tells you so much before you even begin.
Me too. It's so promising. Now, for our listeners joining us today, I know many of you are actually in the process of learning English.
Yeah, that's a really important context for today.
It is. Maybe you're listening to us right now to practice your listening skills. Or maybe you're just someone who loves a good story about overcoming obstacles, which I think applies to, well,
To all of us, yeah.
Okay.
And that is what makes today so special. We aren't just analyzing a topic like, economics or history.
Right.
We are analyzing a method for learning. We're actually looking at the psychology of how we get better at things, how we grow.
Yes. We're looking at the human brain on a journey. So we have this source material. It's a script, it's short, but it packs a huge punch.
It really does. When I first reviewed this source material, I realized it's doing two things at the same time. It serves two purposes. On the surface, it is a language lesson. It's very clearly designed to teach English vocabulary and sentence structure.
Sure, that makes sense. English through stories.
But if you look just one layer deeper, it is a psychological lesson. It is a guide on how to build confidence, how to overcome fear.
A language lesson and a life lesson, all wrapped up in one tidy little package.
Exactly, a 2-for-1 deal.
I love that. So our mission today, then, is to unpack this story. We are going to go line by line almost. We want to understand the main character. His name is Mark.
Right, our protagonist, Mark.
We want to understand his struggle, his fear, and ultimately, his victory.
And I think Mark is a character that everyone listening can relate to. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're learning a language, or learning to cook, or learning to code.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all been Mark at some point, that feeling of being on the edge of something new.
I know I have. I mean, have you ever felt like that? Like Mark, excited to start something new, but just terrified to actually do it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that is the universal human condition when we face the unknown. It's that push and pull.
It really is. Well, let's get into it. Before we even meet Mark properly, let's look at the structure of the source material itself. The text we have outlines a very specific format for this English Through Stories podcast.
It does. And the structure is actually quite clever. I was really impressed by it.
Tell me more.
So the text says that first, the story is told completely in English. You just listen.
Okay, so immersion first.
Right. And then second, there's an explanation of the meaning and the vocabulary, but in Spanish.
Interesting. So it's context first, explanation second.
Exactly. And that actually mirrors how we learn naturally as human beings. When you're a child, you hear the story first.
Yeah.
You get the rhythm, the flow of the language.
Right, you get the music of it before you know what all the lyrics mean.
What a great way to put it. Yeah. Then later, you learn what the specific words mean. You fill in the blanks. It's not about memorizing a dictionary and then trying to build a story. It's the other way around.
That makes so much sense. The source text also mentions the pacing, and it's very specific. It says the duration is very short, 6 to 8 minutes total.
Yeah, that detail caught my eye too.
The intro is 45 seconds, and the story itself is only 2 or 3 minutes. So my question is, why do you think that specific length matters so much? Why not a 1-hour story?
I think the text is giving us a very, very specific clue here. It mentions simple English. Now think about it. When you are learning something new, anything new, your brain is working very hard.
It's firing on all cylinders.
It is. It's building new pathways. It takes a lot of energy. So if I tell you a story for 1 hour in a new language, what happens? Your brain gets tired. You stop listening.
It's called cognitive overload, right? You hit a wall.
Exactly. You hit a wall, your focus is gone. But 2 or 3 minutes,
That's manageable.
That is perfectly manageable. You can focus completely for 3 minutes. You can hold that attention. It feels possible. It feels achievable.
It's bite-sized. It respects the learner's energy. It doesn't ask too much of you.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a promise in the intro text of the source that I think is it's crucial. We have to break it down.
Okay, what's the promise?
It says, in this podcast, you learn English by listening to short stories, real situations, and simple English.
Okay, I want to stop you there. That phrase, real situations, that just jumps out at me.
It should. I would argue it is the most important phrase in the entire setup.
Why? What is the difference between a real situation and, say, a classroom situation from a textbook?
Well, in a textbook, you might see sentences that are, grammatically correct, but they're weird.
Chuckles. Okay, like what?
Like, the cat is on the blue table. Okay, sure. That's a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But how often do you need to say that in real life? It's not useful.
Not very often, unless you have a very specific cat and a very specific blue table.
Exactly. But a real situation is functional. It's about survival, in a way. It's about navigating the world.
Okay, so it's practical.
It's deeply practical. How do I order food? How do I ask for help? How do I introduce myself? How do I make a friend? These are the things that matter to us as human beings. The source material promises to teach us that, not just abstract grammar rules.
I see. And what about the other part? Simple English. Sometimes people hear simple and they think dumb or childish. But in this context, I don't think that's what it means at all.
Not at all. It's the opposite. In communication, simple is actually better. It's more advanced in a way.
How so?
Simple means clear. Simple means accessible. If you use big, fancy, complicated words, you might sound smart to yourself. But if no one understands you, you have failed to communicate. This source focuses on clarity above all else.
I love that distinction. Clarity over complexity. That's a great principle for anything, really.
It is.
Okay, so we have the stage set. We have a short story based on real situations using simple, clear English. Let's bring out the actor. Let's meet Mark.
Mark, our protagonist, our hero.
The text introduces him with a very clear, very simple goal. It says, Mark wanted to learn English.
And there it is. It's the classic motivation. It's the want. Every good story starts with a character who wants something.
Right, but immediately after telling us what he wants, the text tells us how he feels. And this is where the conflict begins. The text says he felt excited, but also scared.
Excited, but also scared. I just want to pause on that combination for a moment.
It's a powerful mix, isn't it?
It is a very potent mix. And what's fascinating is that psychologists actually tell us that excitement and fear are very, very similar in the body.
Really? How?
Your heart beats faster, your adrenaline goes up, your palms might get a little sweaty, your focus sharpens. The body is ready for action in both cases.
So physically they feel almost the same.
Almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
The difference is how your brain interprets that energy. It's the story you tell yourself about the feeling.
So for Mark?
Mark is excited because he imagines the result, speaking English, traveling, meeting new people. But he is scared because he imagines the process making mistakes, sounding foolish.
It's a tug of war inside his own mind. One part of his brain says, go, this is amazing. And the other part says, stop, this is dangerous.
And that is an exhausting place to be. It's like standing with one foot on the gas pedal and one foot on the brake at the same time. You burn a lot of energy, but you go nowhere.
And the text gives us a window right into his mind. We get to hear his internal monologue, the voice in his head. It says, every time he tried to speak, he thought, what if I make a mistake?
What if I make a mistake? That right there, that is the monster. That is the villain of this story.
It's not a person. It's not an event. It's a question.
It is the what if. Anxiety is almost always about the future. It's about a catastrophic future that hasn't happened yet, and probably never will. Mark isn't failing in the present moment. He is imagining a failure in the future.
And notice the text says every time. This wasn't a one-time thought. It was a loop, a broken record playing in his head over and over.
Exactly. What if I mess up? What if I sound stupid? What if they laugh at me? It's a spiral.
And the text is very, very clear about the result of this thinking. It's a short, powerful sentence. It says, because of this fear, Mark did nothing.
He did nothing. That is such a heavy sentence. It's so final.
It is the definition of paralysis, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fear was so big that it stopped all forward action.
Total shutdown.
But, and this is a really important nuance in the source material, he didn't do absolute zero. He was still busy. He did something else. The text says, he watched videos, but he never spoke.
This is the trap. This is the most dangerous trap for any learner. in any field.
Okay, explain that. Why is it a trap? Watching videos sounds like learning. It feels productive.
It feels like learning.
Ah.
That is precisely why it is such a clever trap. When Mark watches a video, he's understanding. He is nodding his head. He feels like he's making progress. He thinks, I am studying English.
It's comfortable. It's passive.
It is very comfortable. And more importantly, it is safe. You cannot make a mistake when you are just watching a video. The video keeps playing whether you understand it or not. The video doesn't judge you. There's no risk.
So he is stuck in the input phase of learning. He is taking English in, but he isn't letting any English out.
Exactly. He is a collector of words, but not a user of words. And the source text explicitly contrasts this. It says, he watched videos, but he never spoke. The but is everything.
The speaking is the scary part.
Speaking is output. Speaking is performance.
Yes.
It's active. And speaking carries the risk of the mistake he's so afraid of.
It reminds me of people who love to watch sports. You can watch soccer for 10 years. You can know every single rule. You can know every player, every strategy. But if you never step out on the field and actually kick the ball, you are not a soccer player. You are a spectator.
That is a perfect analogy. Mark was a spectator of English. He wanted to be a player, but fear kept him on the bench, just watching the game.
And the text shows us the tragedy of this situation and gives us the sense of time. It says, days passed, then weeks passed.
Ugh, that line is heartbreaking. Time slipping away. That is the real cost of fear. It's not the mistake you might make, it's the time you lose while you're trying to avoid it.
Yeah. We tell ourselves, I'm just waiting until I'm ready. We say, I'll speak when I'm perfect.
But perfection never comes. It's a mirage. So the days they turn into weeks, and weeks turn into months.
It's a sad image. Mark sitting in his room watching these videos, wanting so badly to speak, but the weeks are just floating by. He is completely and totally stuck.
But stories need a turning point. They need a pivot. Mark cannot stay in his room forever, or it's not a story.
No. And the text gives us that shift. It's a simple sentence. It says, one day, Mark decided to take a small step.
A small step. There it is. The title of the story.
I really want to focus on those 3 words, a small step. The story isn't called The Giant Leap.
Yeah.
It isn't called The Big Speech or The Perfect Conversation. It is the small step.
And this is the solution to the paralysis we were just talking about. When the fear is big, the step must be small. It's the only way.
Right. If Mark had decided, okay, today I will go give a 10-minute lecture in English, what would have happened?
He would have failed. The fear would have been too strong, too overwhelming. His brain would have shut it down immediately.
It would have crushed him before he even started.
Exactly. But a small step. That flies under the radar of the fear. It feels doable. His brain says, okay, I am terrified, but I can probably do this one little thing.
It's manageable. So let's look at the action. What is this small step? Mark leaves his room. He goes out into the real world. The text sets the scene in a cafe.
A cafe, and this goes right back to the real situation promise from the intro. A cafe is a classic, perfect setting for language learners.
Why is that? What makes it so perfect?
Because it is a structured environment. It is a transaction. There's a script that everyone knows.
The script.
Yeah. You know what you want, which is coffee.
Yeah.
You know who you were talking to, which is the waiter or the barista. You know what they're going to ask you. It isn't a chaotic party where you have to understand fast jokes and multiple conversations. It's a simple, predictable exchange.
It's a controlled environment, so it's low risk, but it's still real. It's not a simulation.
Exactly. The stakes are real, but they're very low.
So Mark is there, he's in the cafe, he is ready. And the text says he set a very specific, very small goal. He decided to say one sentence. Just one.
Again, the small step method in action. He didn't try to have a full conversation about the weather or politics or anything, just one single sentence.
And the text gives us the exact sentence. This is the sentence that changes everything. It is, can I have a coffee, please?
Let's break this sentence down. To a native English speaker, this sentence sounds like nothing. It's automatic. We don't even think about it.
Right.
But for a learner like Mark, this sentence is a masterpiece of simple English strategy.
It really is. Let's look at the grammar for just a second. It starts with, can I have?
This is a modal verb structure. Can I or could I? In American English, this is the standard polite way to ask for something. It turns a command into a request.
Right. It's important that he didn't say, I want coffee.
Yes. I want coffee is grammatically correct. Subject, verb, object, no problem there. But socially, it can sound a little bit rude, a little abrupt, demanding.
Yeah, a little harsh.
Can I have? is softer. It's polite. It shows consideration for the other person.
And then he adds the most important word in the entire sentence at the end, please.
Please. It is the magic word, isn't it? It signals respect. It tells the waiter, I acknowledge that you are a person. I am being polite. It costs nothing to say, and it changes the entire tone of the interaction.
You know, I've heard from so many language learners that even if your accent is heavy, or if you stumble over the other words, if you use can I have and please, people are incredibly patient with you.
Absolutely. Politeness buys you time. It buys you goodwill from the listener. Mark is using this sentence as a tool. He is using it to navigate a social situation safely and successfully.
Okay, so he's done his homework. He has the perfect sentence. He says it. Can I have a coffee, please? Now, let's put ourselves in Mark's shoes for a second. He has said the words. The sound waves are now in the air.
Oh, this is the moment of terror. This is the climax of his fear.
This is where he expects the mistake to attack him. He expects the failure he's been imagining for weeks.
He is bracing for impact. He's probably thinking, did I say it right? Is my pronunciation weird? Is the waiter going to laugh? Are they going to be confused? All those what-ifs are rushing in.
And what happens? What is the reality? What is the reaction?
The text says, the waiter smiled and answered, of course.
The waiter smiled.
That detail, that one verb is so crucial. The text could have just said, the waiter brought the coffee, but it specifically mentions that the waiter smiled.
Why does the smile matter so much here? What does it signify?
Because Mark is desperately looking for validation. He is looking for a signal from the world that he is safe, that he succeeded. A smile is the universal, non-verbal signal for, you are okay, I understand you, we are good.
It disarms the fear instantly. The monster just vanishes.
Completely. And then you have the verbal response, which is just as important. Of course.
Of course. It's such a casual, simple phrase.
And that's the beauty of it. It means naturally. It means, yes, this is a normal request, and I am happy to fulfill it. By saying, of course, the waiter is telling Mark, you're making perfect sense. This is a completely normal interaction.
So Mark felt like he was climbing Mount Everest, but for the waiter, it was just a Tuesday morning.
And that contrast is the entire lesson. The internal drama and catastrophe in Mark's head was not matched by reality. Reality was kind. Reality was simple. Reality was boring in the best possible way.
This leads directly to Mark's big realization, his epiphany. The text says, Mark realized something important. Nothing bad happened.
Nothing bad happened. It sounds like such a low bar for success, doesn't it? Like, that's all you were hoping for.
It does, but for someone who is paralyzed by anxiety, that is the victory. That is the gold medal.
It is the ultimate victory. His brain was screaming, danger, disaster, embarrassment is coming. But he did the thing, and the result was a coffee and a smile. The opposite of disaster.
The text then follows up with a really profound thought. It says, the mistake he feared did not exist.
I love that line so much. The mistake he feared did not exist.
It's almost philosophical, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It tells us that the fear was a lie. The fear was a projection, a ghost. It wasn't real. The only thing that was real was the successful communication, the coffee, and the smile. The monster in the closet was just a shadow on the wall.
He proved his own worst fears wrong with one small action.
He did.
So Mark has broken the barrier. He has crossed the line from being a watcher to being a speaker. But the story doesn't end there with one cup of coffee.
No, because that would be too simple. One cup of coffee is an event. But learning a language, or any skill, requires a process, a habit.
And the text tells us what happened next. It says, from that day, Mark spoke one sentence in English every day.
Every day. That is the secret sauce. That is where the real transformation happens. Consistency.
And notice, he didn't try to do too much, did he? He didn't suddenly decide to speak for an hour every day.
No. He stuck to the small step method, one sentence. This is so incredibly smart. If he had tried to have an hour-long conversation the very next day, he might have failed. He might have gotten scared again and retreated.
He would have lost his momentum.
Exactly. But one sentence. He knew he could do that. He had proof. He had the memory of the cafe.
It's sustainable. That's the key. Even on a bad day, when you're tired or busy, you can say one sentence, good morning. How are you? Thank you.
Precisely. He built a habit. He started to rewire his brain. He replaced the old habit of watching videos in fear with the new habit of speaking words in the real world.
And what was the result of this new daily habit? The text lists two specific outcomes. The first one is, slowly his confidence grew.
And I really appreciate that word. Slowly. It is honest, Confidence doesn't just explode overnight. It's not a light switch. It grows like a plant. You have to water it every day with one sentence, and it gets a little bit stronger, a little bit taller.
It's a gradual process.
Yeah.
What about the second outcome?
And his English improved.
And there it is. That's the destination. That's the goal he had on page 1. Mark wanted to learn English, and finally he was actually doing it.
Yes, but I want everyone listening to pay close attention to the order.
What do you mean?
The text says the confidence grew, and then the English improved. The confidence came first.
That's a great point. They are connected.
They are completely connected. You cannot improve your speaking if you don't speak. And you won't speak if you don't have the confidence to try. Mark had to fix the confidence problem, the fear problem, before he could really fix the language problem.
This is a positive feedback loop, a virtuous cycle. He speaks a little, nothing bad happens. He feels a little more confident, so he speaks a little more. He gets a little better at it, which makes him feel even more confident.
Compared to the negative loop, the vicious cycle he started with. Fear, which leads to silence, which leads to no progress, which leads to even more fear.
He reversed the entire cycle. He turned the ship around with just one simple sentence. Can I have a coffee, please?
It is amazing how much power is in that simple, polite request. It's a whole world of psychology and progress in just a few words.
So, looking back at this entire story, we have Mark, who, as you said, represents all of us. We have the barrier, which is the internal fear of making mistakes.
The what fact?
And we have the solution, which is the small step taken in a real low-stakes situation.
It is a complete roadmap. It's a formula. And it validates the entire method of English through stories. It shows us that you don't need a complex 1,000-page textbook to understand the core of learning. You just need to understand human psychology. You just need to understand yourself.
And you need to be kind to yourself. Mark spent weeks beating himself up, staying frozen, doing nothing. But once he gave himself permission to start small, he flew.
The message is crystal clear. Action cures fear. But the action has to be small enough to be possible. It has to be a step, not a leap.
I keep thinking about the real situations part of the intro we talked about earlier. If Mark had just practiced talking to a robot on an app, or just talking to himself in a mirror, it wouldn't have been the same, would it?
No, not at all. Because the fear was social. The fear was, what will they think of me? He had to test that specific fear. He had to face another human being.
He had to test his hypothesis.
Yes. And when he did, he realized that his hypothesis was wrong. He realized that human beings are generally nice. They want help. They want to understand you. Communication is a team sport.
You know, the waiter is the unsung hero of this story.
He really is. To the waiter, it was just 30 seconds of work. Another customer, another coffee. But to Mark, that waiter, with his simple smile and his, of course, opened the door to a whole new world.
It's a good reminder for all of us to be patient with people, isn't it? You never know if the person who is struggling to order their lunch is taking their own small step right there in front of you.
A smile goes a long, long way. A little bit of patience can change someone's day or even their life.
So we have dissected the text. We've looked at the grammar, the psychology, the narrative structure. What is the big final takeaway for our listener today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that you are probably ready right now. If you are listening to this deep dive, if you are understanding what we're saying, you are ready. You have done the input. You have watched the videos. You have listened to the podcasts.
You are in the silent period, as linguists call it, just like Mark was.
But you don't have to stay there. The takeaway is that the mistake you are so afraid of, it probably doesn't exist. Or if it does, it's tiny and it won't hurt you.
The world isn't waiting to laugh at you. The world is, for the most part, waiting to smile and say, of course.
Just take the small step. Don't try to climb the whole mountain today. Just put on your shoes. That's it. Just open the door. Just say one sentence.
Can I have a coffee, please?
Or even simpler. Just walk into a shop and say, hi.
Hi. That's a great small step.
It starts everything. It's the first domino.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. I really feel like we extracted so much value from such a short, simple script.
It just goes to show you, when the source material is good, the length doesn't matter. The lesson is what matters.
Exactly. We want to thank you all for listening today. We know that learning a language is a journey. It really is. It has ups and downs. It has days where you feel excited, and it has days where you feel scared.
Just like Mark.
Just like Mark. But we want you to remember his story. Remember the power of the small step.
And just keep moving forward, slowly, every single day, one sentence at a time.
Now, before we go, we have a very specific recommendation for you. If you enjoyed this kind of analysis, if you like this method of learning through simple stories and clear, simple English,
Yes, if you want to keep this momentum going, which you absolutely should.
we want to invite you to continue your journey. Please, when this is over, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Learn English with Designer JK.
That's Learn English, ENGLIS, with designer JK.
Go there, subscribe, find more stories like this one, find more lessons, and keep practicing your listening. Keep taking in that input.
It is a great resource. You don't want to miss it. It's the perfect next step.
Thank you again for being part of the Deep Dive family. We believe in you. Go order that coffee. Go say that sentence.
We will see you next time.
Bye for now.